Namaste. Welcome to Dave's Hammer Show. Dave's Hammer Show is a weekly English talk show on Indigenous television and ITV Nepal. In this talk show, we discuss Indigenous people's issues impacting Indigenous peoples worldwide. This talk show features in-person and sometimes online interviews or the guests from diverse backgrounds who actually work with Indigenous peoples or work on Indigenous peoples' issues. And while discussing Indigenous peoples' issues, we try to bring the experiences of Indigenous peoples' issues that they faced globally, and we try to connect the communities together. In this episode, I have invited very renowned theater artists, especially who have gathered in Kathmandu for one of the international, in this episode I have invited guests who are really well known in the areas of theater artists, and they have actually organized one of the international theater festival that is known as International People's Theater Festival 2025, and which was organized in association with Sarvanam Theatre as well in Kathmandu, which is very close to Indigenous television studio as well. So as they are the co-chair and co-founder of the International People's Theatre Festival, and also there is also another association called Asian People's Theatre Festival Society, a kind which is trying to build a kind of connection between the theatre artists from the Asia. So today we will be talking much about the theatre and the role and so much. And I have invited who is the Chiu-yu Mok, right?
Yeah.
So he is one of the co-chair of the International People's Theatre Festival 2025, and also he was the founder of the Asia People's Theatre Festival Society. Mok, welcome to the show.
Namaste.
And also I have another guest, Eric.
Yes.
Eric. He originally comes from Hong Kong, and currently he lives in another country called Taiwan. And he's also a well-known theater artist. And just let me welcome both of my guests to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
So before we dive into our conversation, a kind of chit-chat, I say something, a little background about yourself. Just I would like to request you to introduce yourself and a little bit your affiliation with the organizations, especially International People's Theatre Festival, as you said. Could you introduce yourself first, Mok, and then Eric? Mok?
Yeah, well, shall I introduce myself? Yeah, I've been involved in People's Theatre since the 1970s, actually. But it was not until the early 90s that I came in touch with People's Theatre workers from different parts of Asia. We were actually invited together to go to Korea to take part in a trainers training camp for People's Theatre workers.
That was back in 1980s.
Way back in 1989-90. Yeah. And then I met actually, representatives, from Nepal. And of course there were people from Japan, Korea, the Philippines, Taiwan, and so on. And so we got to know each other because, we tried to learn from each other how to make theater, making theater not just for the people, but with the people themselves. So that's a lot of discussion, a lot of learning from each other. So after that, there was a kind of loose network. And what came into existence was this Asian People's Theatre Festival Society Network, which is based in Hong Kong. And they call me president of this society.
I see, you're the president. How about the Eric? You are one of the secretary.
Yes.
secretary organizing the International People's Theatre Festival 2025, which was held in Nepal.
Yes.
Right, you're the secretary of this one.
Yes. So my path in the People's Theatre is much easier than Mok because I am standing on the shoulder of the giants. Because when I graduated from university, I get the opportunity to work with Mok for a few years. So that with the connection and the network that he has built from the 90s or even before, I was already part of the organizing or participant of the activities that he has organized with all these brilliant artists from different countries. So this time with this festival, Mok again asked me, even I have already moved to another country, that we want to organize this festival. And it's my honor, so I have no second thought. I said yes. So I think until now it's been a year that we started to talk about this festival, from the first draft, having just the name of the artists that we want to invite, and then slowly we talk with the brilliant team of Savanam Theatre and how we want to make the program, and we visited all the spaces. So in the end, we have the very, very good festival here for almost 2 weeks.
Sarvanam Theatre is one of the founders, Assis Malla, right?
Yes.
So he's also one of the well-known theatre artists in Nepal, and he
Yeah.
founded.
I actually met not him, but someone called Govinda Singh Rawat. He was a well-known comedian, actually also a member of Savana. And of course, you know, through him, I came to Nepal, and I met also members of Savana.
Okay. So you said that, okay, in early 1980 or 89 or 90s, you founded the Asia People's Theatre Festival Society.
Yeah.
This is not registered, this is informal network, you said?
Yeah, kind of a network, yeah. Although we are a registered society in Hong Kong, we also operate as a proper registered association in Hong Kong. And through this organization, we organize activities in Hong Kong, like festival, like workshops, like collaborations, and so on.
Only within Hong Kong or outside also? In Asia,
Yeah,
People's Theatre, that
in
means
Hong
in
Kong
many
and
of the Asian
also
countries.
elsewhere. Actually, what the People's Theatre Network did is that they had joint collaborations, or they may have international collaborations. Yeah, and Eric actually, you know, started various other Asian collaborations, and he took the troupe far away to Africa, Europe, and even Latin America.
So, okay. So, I mean, you took this journey from Asia to other countries as well. Is there any difference in terms of, you know, performing this theatre art, right, actually, from Asia and elsewhere in other part of the globe, or the same? Only the theme is different, or?
I think actually it's very different from my experience. So we have had projects that brought the performance. We started from Asia, and then we moved also, because we invite artists from different countries to join together. We don't want to just focus on issues about Asia. It's actually now global, everything. So we have artists from France, from UK, or from Uganda. So when we perform in Asia, we have this familiarity that we know how we interact with the people, and we share similar experiences. But actually when we made the tour, like to the UK, to Paris, I think the issues that we share among the Asian communities can be very different from the European experience and also Brazilian experience. So when we were there, we can see already very clearly that it was very exciting for them. That's what we've heard from them, because it's a very different experience, how we make theater, how we talk about issues, and our performances are always more, I think, down to earth, I may say. So it's not as contemporary in some of the exploration of European theater, but in our practices, it's always about urgent issues that we are experiencing in difficulty of lives of the people. So I think that's a difference that we experience, and we get very different feedback from the audience.
This time you organized the International People's Theatre Festival 2025, though the schedule is from March 1 to 5. But I also attended some of the workshops that you have organized in Sarvanan Theatre. But this workshop and theatre performance, which was not located or solely located only in the Kathmandu, but also you took into Itahari, also in Dankuta. Just could you just tell us that why that International People's Theatre Festival in Nepal, and how many artists actually were there in the festival, from how many countries and so forth? Could you just elaborate a little?
Well, we had artists from different parts of Asia, but also one Hong Konger also came from London, actually. We had people from 13 places, from Tokyo, from Busan and Seoul, Hong Kong, Bhubaneswar, Dhaka, and so on.
Bangkok.
All different places. And each troop, actually basically there are larger or smaller troops. The smallest will be just one person coming in to do a solo performance. Most come with 2 persons. Now you'll find that this is something that we planned because we wanted that those who met way back in the 90s, who have been working for years, to come to 2025. They are aging like me, although gracefully. But we want that this network and the work of People's Theatre be continued. So we asked people who were the veterans to bring a younger person to join us. So they are young and old, and we, through this experience, that this network of People's Theatre workers can be continued, so that People's Theatre work can also be promoted and further. Let me tell you about, what's special about People's Theatre. Note the use of the word people. You ask, well, is there any difference between our theatre and theatre in general? We use the term People's Theatre because, that is theatre about the issues of the people. We're concerned with their lives, the difficulties, and their challenges. But we believe that everyone has the potential to be creative in theatre. Everyone can do theatre. That's what we believe in. So People's Theatre worker want to promote the idea of a theatre with the participation of the people themselves. That the people themselves, through systematic training, you don't necessarily have to go to a theatre school for 4 or 5 years to get trained to be a theatre worker. We believe that through some systematic workshops, like what we have been presenting in Kathmandu and elsewhere, through this kind of activities, maybe a short, just 3 hours, people will learn something about how to make theatre. So if you do it more systematically, and let Peta tell you more about what they do, actually you can command the means of producing theatre within a very short time. So through these workshops, we get people to do theatre themselves, to not just show their talents, not just be creative, not just to entertain others, but to get empowered themselves, and through theatre to articulate what they want, what they need, what they aspire for their future.
Eric, as you are partnering with the veteran artists here, theater artists, as you said yourself, that could you just tell me your own story, that how you were actually inspired to get involved in a theater sector, and what inspired you, and how you are just standing up in this area.
Yeah. So actually, when I first started theater, I was in my university. So it was actually not my major. I was an industrial engineering student, but I went to the drama society because the engineering was a little bit boring for me. So I spent actually a lot of time doing very conventional drama, making performance, making laughs and cry for people, more on the entertaining side. But after my graduation, when I met with Mok, and then he gave me a lot of opportunities to work with artists from all over the world who are more people's theater based. So I found out that theater is not just about making professional acting skill or very beautiful directing. It's more about how you involve with people. So that really gets me, because I like performing properly, because I like to interact with people. So after experiencing with different countries, I start to have my mind set in a way that I want to involve people that can empower them, and also myself, through these participatory processes. So this is also one of the reasons why this time this International People's Theatre Festival 2025 is not just going to Kathmandu, but also to Itahari and Tankuta, because it's also the idea by Mr. Ashish Mala. Because in Itahari and in Tankuta, there is not yet a very established circle of theatre. There are theatre artists and filmmakers. They like theatre, they like drama, but the resources there is not yet enough to be well developed. So this time, instead of going to other places with a lot of infrastructure already built, he recommended us to go to these places to really mix with the local artists, with the expertise from the international artist scene. It's a good exchange to see the different conditions and also different culture of the people. So we totally agree with his recommendation. So we went through this tour, and we saw really hungry but very friendly faces of artists in Itahari and Tankuta. So we made performances workshops in Itahari, and also we made a street performance in Tankuta with a mix of the local culture and also the international performances. I think through this kind of activities, we can really involve people who may not have the resources before, but now after they have this experience together with us, we can join together in the next future, that we can look for something, maybe bigger or more sustainable, that we connect not just with the big cities, but also with the communities at large.
Let me explain actually a bit further. As people's theatre workers, we're actually very interested in exchange. And so not just staying in Kathmandu, where we have been for many times, Ashish Mala suggested that we go out of Kathmandu, and that's to us very exciting. For every one of us from different parts of Asia. Now, I must also point out one thing, and that is the people have all along the ages been performing, doing dances, and doing theatre. So, what is not happening, of course, is that while people are doing their traditional dances in celebration, being happy, celebrating festival and so on, they are not exactly using what they know, what they have become expert in their traditional dances. They do not use it in a contemporary way It's not. It's to express, you know, what they want to say. You know what I mean? To talk about issues that are important. Of course, you know, one of the important issues that people theater workers from all over the world are concerned with is the indigenous culture. We believe that indigenous people not only have the right to their own culture, but they can use their culture and their performances, you know, to voice out what they need, what they want to say. And that's what people's theater is about.
Thanks, Mok. Actually, just bringing the indigenous people's issues with the theater. As you rightly said, that indigenous peoples are a world community rather than region community, and a lot of their culture actually comes with this performing art and so forth. Could you just tell me what role the theater performance actually can play in raising awareness about the rights or the issues that a lot of marginalized communities, including indigenous peoples across these Asian countries, are facing, right? So what role or how the theater actually can bring the indigenous or let's say marginalized communities issues, or in terms of, you know, building a kind of dialogue the theater can play?
I think, you know, one of the things that people's theater workers embrace is embracing that diversity of culture. So we believe that, you know, there is a great importance, you know, for indigenous culture to be preserved and to be continued. And we can, through our own activities, we learn from the indigenous people, their culture, and we can also use or make use of this, you know, to help them to voice out. But more importantly, actually, is that we bring the technique of making theater to the indigenous people so that they can organize themselves. They can use cultural means to defend themselves, to further their rights or to protect their rights, and to say what they want.
As Mok rightly elaborated, some of how the theater can bring a kind of connection between indigenous peoples and mainstream society, what he said. That means there is a lot of opportunities, right, to collaborate between theater performance with the indigenous peoples. What is your experiences while bringing this theater into different African or Latin American countries? There are also indigenous peoples out there.
Yeah, so actually I really agree with Mok with this. It's kind of trying to find a way to sustain the culture of the indigenous people, and at the same time sometimes it's reviving the culture and the wisdom behind it. Because of course when we talk about theater now, a lot of the theater that we think of is Eurocentric, because they've spread out all their ideas of theater, how to make theater or building and everything, which was good to spread the technology and ideas. But if we just stay with that same setting of theater, it would be very limiting actually to the humanity. Because in all cultures, especially now in rural villages, they have the practices of the dance, the music and drama, and in gatherings they all have different rituals. They are actually all the roots of theater in different ways. So when we have all these festivals we held either in Hong Kong or in different countries and in Nepal, we are always, you know, it's one of our foremost requests to the local organizer to invite the local performances and indigenous performances to share with us. So how does it work with the people or the young people now, how the culture is still making impact to them. So like this time we have observed the Lake dance in Tanka and also the Chabrun music and dance. So these are really brilliant, and actually a lot of the elements inside these indigenous performances connects with other performances either in Bangladesh, Thailand or different countries. I think when we all see that these are celebrated as a culture of Asia, we can start to build a force that this is another kind of theater that doesn't need to be minor. We can be part of the mainstream, and we express ourselves through what we know and what we have been cultivated in our culture. So to avoid just globalization of same entertainment and globalization music or dance, we want to get the diversity of the people back through making theater. So I think to achieve that, then people who are now not as having big voice as the majority from the commercial world can move from passive consumer of popular culture to active creators of your cultures that you can mix with other people. So I think this may be one of the ways that we try to empower ourselves and all the people involved to get more balance in this world of culture. This is how we want to do it.
I'm really happy that you got introduced with the Lake dance from the Newar Indigenous community and Jabrung from Limbu community. I also saw that there was also sale performance from the Tamang Indigenous peoples in somewhere in that part. So we have come almost at the end of the show, but at last I would like to give you an opportunity to give maybe, where is your plan for the next year to organize? I don't think this is your first time to Nepal. Perhaps you came earlier as well. What is your observation actually when you came first time in Nepal and now organizing this festival, and then a kind of message perhaps you can give to the people who actually love to the theater?
I think what has happened over the past 2 weeks is that we from different countries have come together and done our workshops and our performances. We brought the issues that we're concerned with, and we actually communicated with one another, and that was a very good thing. And we also had the workshops and so on. So we share all this not just among ourselves, but with the Nepalese audience, not just in Kathmandu, but outside Kathmandu, so that we hope that we will have a lasting impact here in Nepal. At the same time, we are going back home to different parts of Asia again, taking back all the friendship and the goodwill and what we saw and what we learned. We are making a documentary, which we hope that eventually we might share it with your TV and your audience. But I think our gathering actually is a paving way for a bigger network and a more solidified network of people theater workers for Asia and also for the rest of the world.
Good. Anything at last? 30 seconds.
Yeah, we just look forward to the future of this festival running, not just in Nepal for once, but in different places, and it will come back, and I'm sure at that time it will be a very different scene with more vibrant cultural activities and theater workers here.
With that said, we have come almost at the end of the show. So at last, I would like to say thank you so much for Mok and Eric for joining us on Indigenous television, and also Dave Samerson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But we have reached at the end of the show, but that doesn't mean the conversation continues. If you have any queries and feedbacks regarding this Dave Samerson, you can reach us at indigenous-television@gmail.com. Next week, we'll come up with new guests and new issues to talk with. So I would like to request you to join next week. By then, have a nice weekend. Namaste.